Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this information session for all of you as potential applicants for the 2021 Asialink Leaders Program. My name is Mukund Narayanamurthy, and I am the CEO of Asialink Business, Australia's National Centre for Asia Capability. And it gives me great pleasure to co-host this information session with my colleague, Charlotte Oberg, who is the Program Director for the 2021 Asialink Leaders Program. But first, I'd like to start by acknowledging the traditional custodians and the owners of the lands that each of us are meeting from, and I'd like to pay my most sincere respects to their elders past, present, and emerging. I'd also like to extend a very warm welcome to any participants joining us today of Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander background and wish them a very warm welcome. With that, I'd like to set the context and the agenda for this information session. I'm absolutely delighted to have the opportunity with my colleague Charlotte Oberg to share with you a bit of information on the Asialink Group, Asialink Business that delivers this program, which is now in its 25th year, context to the Leaders Program, and its exceptional learning objectives and value proposition, which I believe has never been more important than through this current period of protectionism and, of course, the pandemic. I'm also delighted that we are joined today by three participants and alumni of the program. So one of them is a current year participant in Anna Tao from CSIRO. We have Will Tang, who has been an alumni in the last few years of the program. And we also have Shane Fairley joining us as an alumnus of the program from Vietnam. A very warm welcome to our three panelists, who you'll also get to hear from shortly. But first, some context to the Asialink Group, which is celebrating its 30th year this year. So it's a very significant year for the group. Asialink, of course, was set up 30 years ago as an initiative of the Australian government, the Commission for the Future, in particular of the Hawke government, the Maya Foundation, and the University of Melbourne to really help drive Australia's engagement with the region through insights, capabilities, and connections delivered through four key program areas: Asialink Arts, the Asia Education Foundation, Asialink Diplomacy, and Asialink Business. Asialink Business is, of course, the youngest part of the Asialink Group. Asialink Arts, Asia Education Foundation, and Asialink Diplomacy all have between a 20 to 30 year history, so spanning almost the entire period of Asialink's existence. Asialink Business, on the other hand, was established 7 years ago as Australia's National Centre for Asia Capability, with a mandate from the Australian government, in particular the Department of Industry, Science, Energy and Resources, the University of Melbourne, and the Maya Foundation to help create an Asia-capable workforce in Australia. And so it's a great privilege to have inherited this program from Asialink, but I do always seek to highlight that this is a program that we always seek to ensure we bring the very best of all arms of Asialink to ensure a comprehensive approach to our delivery of this program so that participants get not just a business lens, but importantly, an education, arts, culture, foreign policy, and international relations lens. Asialink Business builds on Asialink's focus on delivering insights, capability, and connections to Australia's workforce. And the Asialink Leaders Program is a key focus of our capability development function, in which team Charlotte Oberg is a key member of. With all of our work, including with the delivery of the Asialink Leaders Program, we focus on embedding some very specific capabilities that our work has highlighted can help lift both individual and organizational performance. And so reflected on this slide here is the 11 capabilities, the 6 individual and the 5 organizational capabilities, which form the bedrock of all of the work that we do at Asialink Business, including for the Asialink Leaders Program. And one of the key areas that I'd like to highlight that is often an area of great interest for participants coming into this program, in addition to the terrific content on foreign policy, international relations, and economic diplomacy, is the ability to potentially develop the key cross-cultural competencies to engage with counterparts across the Asian region. And that is, of course, a significant continuing focus of the program. With that, I'd now like to invite my colleague Charlotte Oberg to detail the various components of the Leaders Program, and then I will also join her in delivering some key components.
Thank you very much, Mukund, for that. And it's a pleasure to be here with all of you today to look at those pieces of the Leaders Program, the features, the benefits, and of course, the journey that allows you to reap those. So looking forward to taking a big picture look, as well as a deep dive into some of the areas of the Leaders Program. And as you know, you'll then hear this again from the alumni that and the current leader that have joined us. So it should be very interesting, I hope, journey for all. Next slide, please. Thank you. So we invite you to consider becoming an Asia capable leader in 2021, and we're thrilled to share with you our flagship program, which evolves every year. And of course, we've just gone through a year like none other. So we'll have a look at how this year panned out, but also put that in context of previous years and what the future holds. We can't say in terms of what the world's doing, but what we can say is we can develop Asia capability in many different kinds of modes, and have been doing so this year. So we are thrilled to share with you the various elements and delivery modes that you'll experience. If I can have the next slide, please. So as Mukund has pointed out already, this is a program that has 25 years of history, and consequently, you will find Asialink leaders throughout Australia and the region, and then in fact in 28 countries and counting around the world. And the key word here is transformational. So you'll see that on the slide here, but this is the #1 word that leaders use to describe their experience in the program. And why that is, you might hear some from our panelists, but also from the way in which the program is set up, and from the way that the program and our Asialink group can convene leading minds, leading speakers, thinkers, actors in the Asia-Australia engagement, curate that journey for you, and also incredibly, apparent when you talk to the panelists as well, what you bring to this program together in the Asialink cohort. So we will have a look now at some of those key benefits. If I could please have the next 2 slides. I think I'm able to do this now. So looking at the program benefits, I know that you're all here thinking, what could potentially this program bring to us? So you got these 6 benefits right in front of you. And I would encourage you to consider the breadth and the depth of this program. And the breadth, it's inherent in all of these benefits. It comes in the form of both speakers and US leaders coming together across sectors from various viewpoints with various ambitions and do joint Asia capability development. The depth, I think you'll see quite clearly in the benefits here, talking about accelerating your understanding of Asia, and then engaging with these outstanding guest speakers who themselves are leaders in their field. So when we have a look at snapshots of what this program entails, you'll see some of the ways in which we bring this to you. But I think what we can say is that it's not just the fact that you get access to knowledge and access to speakers, but it's actually the format and the form in which this occurs. So it says on the second benefit there, the intimate and interactive forums. So it'll be you in a virtual or real room with these speakers, being able to have conversations, ask questions, meet leaders like yourself who come to the program with deep, like you potentially, deep commitment to their Asia engagement, their Asia journey. A very unique feature of this program is the workplace projects that you'll see over here. And that practical guided workplace project, that is again what you bring to the program. So even as you're thinking now about why you would like potentially to join us in the Asialink Leaders Program for 2021, it's that embryo of an idea about what you would like to achieve through this program, so that it's not just incredibly interesting and rich and thought-provoking, which it's designed to be, but that you can then focus the learnings on something that you can take back to your work, your career, your organization, perhaps your sector. So your workplace project is something you bring, but something that we support. And our Asialink leaders right now are getting ready to prepare a presentation, or a pitch rather, on their workplace projects, which are very unique to them and confidential to them, but they'll share some of those elements with their colleagues. And there, and again, you can get the feeling for the stimulation that occurs when you hear other people's ideas, people in potentially very different fields to yourself. And when you are finished with your leaders program, if you can cast your mind into November 2021, if you were to join us, the journey doesn't stop, which is again why we have these fantastic panelists joining us, two of whom are alumni, and kindly join us here to talk about the journey, not just through, but after the program. So you become part of a vibrant global alumni network, and it says here with 900 active alumni, and that will be true as of November 25th, where you then can connect, learn, get perspectives and advice. So that summarizes some of the key benefits. And again, we know that's truly also personal, what everyone gets out of the program. So we'll be asking our panelists a little bit about that as well. So how do we deliver on this? Well, it is through a, as it says here, incredible 7-month learning journey. We know that all of our leaders are incredibly busy people. So we're very careful in how we schedule the Asialink Leaders Program journey. It's equivalent to about 3 weeks full-time study, but here's how we've set it out. You can see that it starts in April this year with the foundation week. That's one of the 3 big building blocks which the program sort of comes together through. So you start a foundation week, we'll have a look at that in a moment. You come together next time in the Canberra Intensive, which you can see in mid-year, and then come together again in the graduation workshop and dinner to celebrate your year together. So in between these 3 big building blocks, you can see that you have a menu of city-based and virtual sessions. And of course, we all know that we're talking COVID dependent here. So we'll have a look at one of the virtual sessions, but there will be a mix depending on what the pandemic does and how well we go through it and post it. But there will be a mix of engagement opportunities and of learning opportunities that you can explore. The green turquoise thread that you see go through all of this is the curated learning journey that we provide. There's also a benefit around that in terms of accessing resources throughout. But the red thread really, that is again your workplace project that we keep talking about, but that as you go through an application process, you'll be asked to define the embryo of, and then we'll harness and hone that with you so that at the end, you have something that you can take back to your next step, your organization, and again, your sector. So again, the transformation happens not just in the conversations and in the content, but in your reflections. So one of the biggest surprises that leaders talk to is the reflection, the amount of self-reflection and cultural reflection that you experience going through this program, and hence the transformational piece. We're going to have a look now at snapshots of some of these features of the learning journey, starting of course at the beginning. Foundation Week, April 2021, you can see the 2020 cohort right here coming together for the first time. And this is, of course, where everyone starts together, gets to know each other, and sets the scene for the rest of the year. So while it's foundational, it's in no way basic. This program is different each year, depending on, of course, the topics of the year and the development of the year, but it's a curated effort bringing together speakers who have deep subject matter expertise, could be in one of the ASEAN nations or talk about ASEAN as a on the political level. It's definitely going to be on deep dives on country workshops, again, bringing different perspectives, whether those speakers are in policy or in in business or economic engagement of some kind, or perhaps the arts or education. We also look very importantly at soft power, so the power of attraction. We look at how might Australia be viewed, and not just how might we view these different parts of Asia. And as Mukun's pointed out, this is about sophisticated Asian knowledge. So we definitely deep dive. So not only will you find out what's happening currently, projections into the future, you will look at why things are happening in context, going into the history and the society around. So it's really about broadening as well as deepening. And a lot of people also talk to the fact that you come in and there are all these unknown unknowns. You uncover those, they become known unknowns. And at the end, you know a whole lot more. Hopefully that makes sense. Again, the cohort coming together, providing different perspectives, connections, even challenging, that's what often is reported as incredibly rich and rewarding. Out of the foundation week this year, we of course went and had a very unusual year, and hence we did a particular topic and a focus for our virtual series that was provided. And you'll hear one of our panelists, our current leader, Anna Tao, talk to her impression of this in a moment. But in the design of all of these sessions, what we do is we set them as the year starts, not your program, but as the year starts, and then they evolve through the year. Because what we want to be doing is addressing the most relevant and pressing issues of this time. And of course, in a year like we've all had, we couldn't go past the fact of disruption. What we did in this series, and you can see some of the verbiage, you might recognize some of the speakers, they're internationally known. We thought what would be most useful to all of those leaders who need to navigate Asia engagement through disruption. Obviously, there is a clear and present situation with the current disruption, but in fact, disruption is happening all the time. And that was what these speakers were talking about. How do you navigate through this disruption and the next? So as we at Asialink and Asialink Business reached out to invite these speakers, they were very happy to come in and contribute. So we heard from Parag Khanna about why the future is still Asian, from Sue McLeeman, who is, of course, as you can see, on the Prime Minister's Digital Technology Task Force about digital engagement. And then we heard from Scott D. Anthony, who talked about innovation in Asia. And a lot of leaders reported the surprise that they experienced upon hearing a little bit more of the rich innovation that's going on throughout Asia, and it's being driven out of the region. You can see here the convening power and the speakers that came along, but what you can't see is the curation that went on behind. So as we would with any event, we reach out to US leaders and we engage and we find out what are your key issues, challenges, priorities, and then we involve this in the program so the leaders talk to those and talk to you, whether in the virtual and the physical space. So you get these different lenses, in this case, of disruption. And you can then engage with these speakers, whether that is in the virtual or the physical space. So it becomes incredibly impactful, whether it happens in a various format, one or the other. So I'm going to hand back to you, Mukund, to talk about another step on the leader's journey. Thank you.
Thank you, Lotta. Building on Lotta's presentation on the Foundation Week and also the city-based virtual sessions that we held this year, I'd now like to share with you a little bit about the centerpiece, of course, of the program has historically been the Canberra Intensive. And this year, of course, because of the circumstances, because of COVID, we held a virtual summit. And again, it'll be terrific to hear from our panelists. Will and Shane, of course, experienced the Canberra Intensive, and Anna, of course, experienced the virtual summit. So it'll be great for all of you joining the session as potential applicants to hear the views of those that have experienced both the Canberra Intensive and the virtual summit. Apologies, my screen's frozen. Yeah, so the Canberra Intensive, typically held in the middle of the year, is a terrific opportunity for participants, again, from right across the country to come together and hear from our leaders in government, from the shadow cabinet, from heads of departments, so the senior most bureaucrats who are developing and helping execute policy in this country across departments, whether it's defense, foreign affairs and trade, or whether it's industry, science and innovation. it's a great opportunity to come together and hear first and foremost from these very senior leaders in government. Second, it's a great opportunity to broaden the perspective on foreign policy and international relations issues, to also delve deeply into issues that are at the core of Australia's image, identity, and the way in which we influence our counterparts in the region, typically through soft power, arts, and culture strategies. So there's a real dedicated focus to that theme as well. Third, there's a focus on economic diplomacy. In the context of our bilateral relationships, the development of multilateral agreements, the need for market diversification, and of course, the need to also consider the impact of innovation, not just on our ecosystem here in Australia, but on countries in the region and how they are, as Charlotta highlighted in the case of the disruption series that we had recently, quite often even ahead of Australia in terms of their ability to bring innovative products and services. So the Canberra Intensive has historically blended economic diplomacy with innovation. And then finally, the Canberra Intensive, of course, is all about leadership. It is a leadership dialogue. So we always seek to ensure that the intensive focuses on those matters that are most important for Australia's future prosperity and security. And so a leadership lens is always one that is threaded through the focus on foreign policy and international relations, soft power and cultural diplomacy, and economic diplomacy and innovation. Now, this year, of course, we were unable to hold the Canberra Intensive because of restrictions on travel. However, I have to say, and I'm very much looking forward to Anna's views as well, the virtual summit that we held this year in many ways took between about 2 to 3 times more effort to curate because it really required us to ensure that in a very fast-paced, dynamic global environment, we could actually bring to our leaders, participants, the very core issues that would actually influence Australia's engagement with the region. The second thing was that the virtual summit actually provided us with a unique opportunity to bring in even more voices from around the world. And the third thing that the virtual summit enabled us to do was to actually blend this summit with other major initiatives which were being progressed by Asialink at the same time. For instance, the Asian Australian Leadership Summit, which was also being convened by Asialink at the same time this year with some other partners during the time of this virtual summit. So what you see here is a capture of some of these elements that we covered during the virtual summit, which was produced with an external production company, Flair Creative, that I've had as feedback provided a CNN-like experience, as one speaker highlighted, and also many participants this year suggested the experience was like for them. So we're not talking about a series of Zoom webinars, we're talking about high quality production experience that is meant to have a transformative impact on the participants going on the journey. We had 3 key areas of focus for the virtual summit this year, which was over 3 days. We had a focus on the idea of confrontation, protectionism, and the pandemic, which is having a dramatic impact on our bilateral relationships with China, with India, and with Southeast Asia. And so we had fantastic panel discussions with almost all panels having between 50 to 3/4 of their 50% to 3/4 of the participants actually joining us from the region. So it wasn't just our views of the region, but most importantly, it was views of leaders from the region, giving us a very practical and nuanced sense of the likelihood of Australia's strategies for each of those key regions actually succeeding. A second key area of focus for the virtual summit this year was on the idea of image, identity, and influence. And more than any other year, while we've always had a focus on ensuring that we understand the priorities and the interests of our First Nations people, we went even further this year. And it is a source of great pride for all of us at Asialink about the commitment we've made to actually ensuring that we truly connect with those elements of our identity, considering that we actually all are part of the world's oldest civilization that actually gives us a greater opportunity to actually connect with really high context, dynamic cultures in our region. And so the influence of our First Nations people was spread throughout the 3 days of the virtual summit. But importantly, we also built on that by ensuring that we brought in the views of some of Australia's leading artists, architects, and leaders in arts and culture, including a great rap icon of Filipino and First Nations background, to help us understand how we can actually project and influence in our region. The third area of focus for the virtual summit was, again, on building on hearing from the region, but to really go even further than just our immediate region, but to bring voices even from the US, from South America, and from various parts of Asia, including Indonesia, Vietnam, and India, on what it takes to actually successfully engage in the innovation ecosystems in our immediate neighborhood. And so what the virtual summit presented was this unique opportunity, which in no way was just a substitute for the Canberra Intensive, but in its own way had its own unique value proposition that unleashed the potential for us more than ever before to bring voices from all across the world on debating the issues that matter most for Australia's engagement with the region. I'd like to invite Charlotta back to share a few thoughts with you on the application process.
Thank you so much again, Mukund. And if you can imagine the cohort next year, you won't know who's in there, and we won't know yet exactly which organizations will pop up. But as you see here, there is no one kind of organization or person that joins the Asialink Leaders Program, and that is what makes it fantastic. So we have already talked about the fact that you would join a global alumni network upon leaving the program. That alumni network is actually quite involved throughout elements of the program. So what I guess we want to put forward here is this idea that you're stepping in to a space, virtual and physical, of engaging with Asia, but you also find a way to engage with each other. And then when you step out of that space, you meet potentially 900 other people who are also used to engage with you in this way. So many sectors are represented inside the program, both in the speaking area and the facilitation area and in the participation area. And considering that we then bring together leaders for cross-sector engagements, we convene those leading minds, we create the learning journey. And you would then go on this journey together with other people equally committed and come out and connect with people who are equally dedicated to Asia engagement. I think that sort of sums up the Leaders Program, that it's a mix of all of these things together that potentially makes it a transformational experience. We also know, of course, that leaders themselves put in a whole lot to make it so. So it's very much an interplay and an engagement that we have with you as leaders. If you are interested in applying for this program, we're not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about the details of that process, but just to share with you what to expect if you were to go on our website and have a look. So I know this is a detailed slide, so again, I encourage you to go and click through on our website to the 2021 Asialink Leaders page. But what you'll find is that we are looking for your Asia aspirations. And some people who join the program are CEOs with 3 decades in Asia. Some are at the beginning of their journey with Asia. We think it's valuable to bring that together too. So we're looking for your Asia aspirations. And in this program, we're not going for volume. As you can see, numbers are capped. We are looking for a great balance within the cohort. The written application, which kicks off the process of becoming an Asialink leader, you can already now click through and have a look at what that's like. And there will be some information going out after this session so that you can continue to look if you are attending for it and register for it. So we ask you already there, why do you want to join? And that again is the embryo for your workplace projects. We will continue to discuss the reason for you being on that program throughout an interview that we might invite you to, and then we'll let you know. And if you accept it, you get an offer, and then you can secure a place for a commencement of the program in 2021. We do reward those early applicants and early acceptees. So again, have a look on the websites for details on that. It's also important to know that we'll be announcing the fellowships this year. We have a couple of fellowships to make you aware of these. We're very lucky to have a long-standing collaboration with the Sir Edward Weir Dunlop Fellowships. This is a specific Asialink Fellowship that is designed to carry on Sir Edward's vision for peace and prosperity in the region. And we have 2 places available for applicants from the not-for-profit sector, and you can see 2 of them here. And Thomas Bamford and Keith Usher are going through this program and will be presenting back how they will use their experience in the Leaders Program. And so look out for LinkedIn as they continue to do that this year and next year. We also have an Indigenous Scholarship that's inaugural from this year, 2020, that will be offering again 2021. We are incredibly lucky to have Dr. Vanessa Russ in the cohort, who's a researcher and Aboriginal artist at the University of Western Australia. So we encourage you and very much welcome you to go ahead and have a look on the website and go ahead and apply, which we are going to be looking out for your application if you're interested, as well as any questions. Now, it's time to hear not just about the program for us, but the experience of the program. And we're going to kick off with someone who's in the program this year. Welcome, Anna Tao. And before we kick off, Anna, I'm just going to share a little bit about you. So Anna, you are analyst in the company creation team in the CSIRO, agriculture and food team. And I understand, Anna, that you're in the business of commercializing science and technology. And of course, we know that when you enter the program, and we've seen that throughout, how you make use of the program to bring insights to bear on your work, on your workplace project, and also, very interestingly, with colleagues. So Anna, warm welcome to you.
Thanks, Lotta. Hi, everyone.
Nice to see you here. And what we might do is make sure that you and I are on screen together. So if I can have some assistance with that, please. What we would like to do here, Anna, is have a bit of a conversation for a couple of minutes of your experience, around your experience of the Leaders Program in such a disrupted year. And you're going through this, of course, like everyone else, you have to engage with Asia through that disruption as well as with the program. So tell us a bit about your experience so far.
I guess, this is definitely a special year for everyone. When I was applying for Asialink, what attracted me, of course, is this, fantastic program, and looking forward to these kind of face-to-face interactions and meeting people. Despite, I guess, COVID, I think Asialink, first of all, did a fantastic job to quickly turn the content into a digital, online platform. And I will emphasize, I guess, through that virtual platform, there's definitely pros and cons. The pros for this, I guess, is what Mukund and Lotta you have shared already is, it's amazing to say you will be able to prove through your network the stellar panels of speakers from the region, which is not accessible or difficult to access if it's in a face-to-face scenario. So I think that's definitely the plus. You guys did it again, once in through the first sessions around navigating through disruption first, and also again through that 3-day virtual summit, when we're really hearing people from the regions and who is really in the country and telling us this is what's going on because of COVID, or what they think about the next opportunity is. So that is a powerful statement to bring back and kind of reflect back to say, how does that link to action? So definitely that's a pro, I guess, for me. And this is what I feel through, I guess, go to other kind of virtual summit. It's kind of definitely open door to a true global platform, to say. And I think, it'd be great to see if we can preserve some of that nice part of the virtual platform, carry on. Of course, I guess the cons in that sense is definitely more, I do definitely miss a lot of that human element. Personally for me, I've been working from home since March. So I kind of think that more is I would love to kind of bring that personal element back and have that chat. And that was the stuff I missed the most, I guess, during our foundation week, when we did have that 3-day with the whole cohort in Melbourne and have that, great conversations and that kind of, environment where you can ask questions to the panels and kind of follow up with them afterwards. I think that you can't replace the human element, but I do see this is a new world that we are entering into. That virtual element definitely brings some unique advantage we haven't seen before.
Thank you, Anna. Really, agree with your thinking there and take that on board, that thinking about bringing the best of the global platform that you talked about, as well as making sure that, of course, the intent is to be face-to-face for these big building blocks of the Asialink Leaders Program, so that we can together connect in the physical space. And knowing that you're from an organization, that is, of course, the Australia's National Science Agency, the organization is incredibly committed to engaging with Asia, to Asia capabilities, and you have several colleagues in the program. So very interesting to hear, as an organization and you working with your colleagues, how does that work through the Asia Leaders Program for you? It might be very different to other people who go through the program, but also how have you reached out to other leaders to continue to connect also in the virtual space?
Yeah, thanks that's a good question. And as you said, Sarah has been really committed to build up these Asia capabilities. So I think for me, I'm already a third year participant through Sarah. So when I applied, I actually reached out some of the Asialink alumni before joining this program, and have kind of kept the connections through that as well. And when I started the programs, it was great to see other colleagues and from different parts of Sarah, and actually that started a different conversation. So one example is I started to work on my workplace project actually with my colleague who is also participating in this year's Asialink, because we immediately find out that we are looking at kind of a similar topic, and there's a great synergy we can leverage to kind of collaborate together and working towards a more tangible target towards it. So that definitely opened doors to new opportunities, and kind of build a from just a individual project to a bigger thing that we can kind of co-create together, and see if that to the benefit to the agri-food business unit particularly. As I said, it kind of also opened doors and reconnected to some of the Asialink alumni, who is also from agri-food areas. I was able to share like what I was working on as the workplace project, and kind of have their input, because they have went through this as well, kind of give their aspect and see how did that work from their perspective. So it's a collaboration, new collaboration channel I would love to kind of continue and to kind of work towards. And the other thing actually is during kind of the 3-day virtual summit, I kind of put a mission for myself to kind of try to reconnect with my cohorts, as much as possible. And that actually opened a conversation with someone in Australia, that we start to talk about our workplace project as well, and to find out that there's a great synergies between our two organizations working in the same area in that space. So we're now working on, I guess 3 of us is working on a project that we want to do next year. So really looking forward to make that happen as well.
Fantastic. And I think so much for sharing with us how, not just how the Leaders Program is experienced by you, but how you ensure that you can leverage all the benefits from it. So fascinating. I hope that was very useful for everyone who was listening, and I'm sure it was. Thanks so much for joining us here, Anna. And I would now like to go backward in time a little bit. Now we're going to go forward as well, but I'm going to invite our 2018 Asialink Leaders alumni, Shane Fairley. It's actually Dr. Shane Fairley, and thrilled, Shane, to have you back here with us today. Shane is a communications consultant with the World Health Organization. Shane has worked across the region before joining the Asialink Leaders Program in Japan and China and Fiji. And as Mukund said, now joins us from Ho Chi Minh City, where Shane, apart from doing his work and completing that PhD very recently, also is a very active part and supporter of one of Vietnam's most respected children's foundations, the Christina Noble Foundation. So welcome, Shane. Let's see if we can get you here. There you are.
Great
to see you.
And hello, everyone.
Great to have you here. So I would like to invite you, Shane, to tell us a little bit about the impact of your year. And I know that you had a particular workplace project related to the work that you did then. So it'd be interesting to hear how that evolved when you came in throughout the year and as you stepped out.
Doing the project was actually quite interesting because it represented the rate of change that's happening in Asia, because I started my project obviously in 2018 when I did my project, and it was about getting funding for a global health initiative looking at dengue, the mosquito-borne disease. And there'd just been a big outbreak here in Hanoi in 2017. And so when I started preparing my project, I thought there's going to be a lot of government donors in Vietnam very interested in supporting the project to stop dengue. But by the time I arrived here, because I relocated with my family halfway through the Leaders Program in 2018 and started going to Hanoi and talking to donors, 12 months, a lot had changed in Vietnam. A lot of the donors were not talking about basic health programs. They were interested in digitization, smart technology, private-public partnering. So my project ended up taking quite a different direction, and I ended up getting funding from a corporate, which really represented the rate of change here in Vietnam as in terms of its socioeconomic status. So probably one of the big things from the project was the difference between desktop research and being on the ground, but also just how much things can change in 12 months in Asia.
Wow, that's fascinating. And so in the end, when you came out with the workplace project, has that changed, I guess, the way that you went about the work? The Leaders Program, did that input something into your workplace project that changed the outcome?
Probably the biggest thing. I mean, there are a lot of great things that I got from the program, but you've mentioned this morning, Mukund mentioned this morning, is the sophistication, the focus on sophisticated understanding of Asia. And one of the great things the program did right throughout my project is continue to emphasize to me, you really need to understand the details. You really need to drill down and look specifically at, what's happening in that particular country, what's happening politically, what's happening economically. So that emphasis on a very forensic analysis of different Asian settings was really great. And that was extremely helpful for me because I think having that sophisticated understanding, Asialink, from my experiences, is one of the few programs that offers that degree of sophistication.
Thank you, Shane. And then you mentioned as well, like now, then you're on the ground and you can see and experience and live that fast rate of change. So now that you look back and you were very experienced when you entered the Asialink Leaders Program already, but now that you look back at it with 2 years, of hindsight, do you see the program differently now than when you were in it?
It's, to use a little bit of a cliche, the Leaders Program is the gift that continues to give. And we've talked about this great 900-person alumni and having networks. But for me, one of the great things about the program was establishing these networks. And it's not just networks or contacts. It's actually forming a connection with like-minded individuals, because not everybody's passionate about Asia. Not everybody's interested in engaging with Asia and doing it as it should be done. So I was able to connect with some really great people on the Leaders Program, 2 of which have actually visited me here, obviously pre-COVID. One I've talked about working on a sustainable business initiative with. Another one gave me some great contacts for Myanmar, engaging in Myanmar. And the other one, Fiona Letso, is heading up the Trade Victoria team that's about to set up an office here in Ho Chi Minh City. So those relationships just continue to keep coming around. And even though I hadn't had any contact with Fiona for about 12 months, we had an email exchange recently about setting up the office here in Ho Chi Minh City. So there's that sense of camaraderie that I don't think goes away once you've done the Leaders Program. And Asia is a big place, but it's also a small place. So those connections you make on the program really can just continue to be beneficial on a personal and a professional level.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Shane. That was fascinating. And I know it was for all of you who are listening too. Really appreciate you coming in there from the morning in Ho Chi Minh City and sharing this with us. And our panelists are staying on, so feel free to start. The questions and answers are going to happen, the Q&A. So feel free to start posting your questions in the Q&A. And it could be to our panelists or it could be to us. And we look forward to having them. Thank you, Shane. And now I would like to invite William Tang. And William, you were an Asialink leader in 2015. You're now the director there of Beanstalk Ag Tech. And William, it's fascinating to see I guess the caliber of people that this program draws in, and the people on the call as well, I'm sure. You have been deeply involved in Asia-Australia engagement in the ag sector for some time. I know you led the Victorian State Premier's first official visit to China. You are on the committee of the Australia-India Youth Dialogue, Track 2 Diplomacy. And of course, you were one of the 40 under 40 most influential Asian Australians in 2019. So you are a person who understands how to connect and how to collaborate to get these outcomes. I'm curious about that too in the relation to the Leaders Program. But I guess I want to start with the work that you do now, leading an AgTech innovation agency, and maybe the connection that you see from what you're doing now to the Asialink Leaders Program in 2015. Welcome.
Great, thanks, Lotta, and it's great to be here today, and yeah, great to meet with everyone that's here. Yeah, thanks for that background, Lotta. I suppose my journey in working much more in a engaging way with Asia is a very young one. I did the Leaders Program in 2015, and at that time I only had my toe in the water, and came back from studying at the Hamer Scholarship in China, and was working in the food and ag space and looking to engage more in our export markets. So like it's all very recent still, and even working on the as you mentioned, Lotta, the Premier's trip to China was again something that just only happened a few years ago, and I'm still learning a whole bunch in that space. But what's really emerged for me as we got to think about the role that the Asialink Leaders Program provided for me, and I suppose how it contributed to my career, is really to refine my my radar and my cultural compass, and having some real good set of tools and frameworks to kind of really navigate Asia, which is a very complex region. And often when you talk about Asia, a lot of and for those that are fairly new in the space, it's always about China, and it's always about maybe Singapore, but it is such a huge eclectic mix of different cultures and people and drivers in the region. And arguably the region has it's at a in terms of the changing world order, it's a space in which will affect every one of us, our businesses, our region and environment. So learning about how we engage with the region in a really structured manner, and also feeling confident about engaging with the region is so important. So yeah, and the Asialink Leaders Program is one of those programs that takes you through that journey and meets you where you are in that journey, and your journey with Asia. Because whether you've had 20 years experience in Asia, you're never going to know it all. And so and the frameworks and the kind of changing landscape is always happening on an annual basis, yearly basis. So it's a great way to connect using theoretical frameworks, but also real life examples about business, policy, and government, and how partnerships are really made, and how we can influence the region and create greater prosperity in the region as well. So yeah, it's been a fun journey.
Thank you so much, Will. That's so eloquently put. I really appreciate it in terms of how you see that. And I can see also with the 5 years of time that's elapsed between you doing the Leaders Program and being so involved, that you see that ongoing journey that that everyone is on in honing their Asia capabilities as everything is changing. What advice would you give to someone who's wanting to come into the Leaders Program on making the most out of it, in terms of expanding and developing their network, down to sort of the tangible? What did you do through the program that allowed that to happen?
Yeah, I suppose being as a Cambodian Chinese Australian growing up here, we kind of see Asia through a very narrow lens, in relative terms. Where we are in the region, but our exposure to the region is never you never really get to touch and feel the region unless you're in there working and experiencing the people and connections. So we all have many assumptions about Asia, and so if there's any advice, is I think the Asialink Leaders Program gives you the chance to write down all your assumptions pre-programmed, because we all have so many assumptions, and actually consequently test those assumptions throughout the program, because it's a structured program in a way that allows you to, question things and perceptions around people, the food, the culture, and your place in the world and region. So I think that's a really great way to kind of think about the program. It's really and to be challenged. There's so many things that you realize you don't know once you're going through the program, and it's a great thing, because anyone that professes to know everything about Asia is probably kidding themselves. So yeah, and so I think Asialink has done an incredible amount of work to kind of really try to discern the types of frameworks and the types of readings that you get along the journey to help you navigate that with much more confidence and to help you make the right decisions. So yeah, that's what I'd definitely encourage doing. The other thing is that the beautiful thing about the Asialink program is that everyone's united by an interest in Asia. And I think, so therefore, if you have curiosity about people and the people that you come together with, you'll find so many great friendships and so many great learnings from one another. And everyone enters Asia through a different prism and different windows. So understanding that will give you, you'll end up learning a lot from one another, not just necessarily from the program itself. So yeah, that's definitely something I took out of the program. And finally, your point about the alumni and staying engaged is that, yeah, it's amazing how much programs Asialink puts together. There's so much different variety of things in the arts, in the business and diplomacy side, that being engaged with this kind of keeps your finger on the pulse. And again, this region is changing like never before, and it's probably the most exciting time to be operating in this region, which is why as a company we choose to operate in this region. And it's probably the most difficult time as well. So if you've got the networks, the right people and the tools and frameworks, it really helps you navigate with confidence in the region. So yeah, I think it's for those of you that are still thinking on the borderline of thinking about it, like, yeah, just cross that border. I reckon it's going to be a great one.
Thank you so much, Will, for all that eloquence and thoughtfulness into the answers. And we're very pleased and very lucky that you, as the current leader and two alumni, have come on board to share your experience, and we really appreciate it too. Now, we are going to go to a bit of Q&A. The questions are actually coming in thick and fast. So I'm going to invite our panelists and Mukund again to join us on video. And I'm going to invite all of you to put some questions in, noting that we got quite a few. So welcome back on camera and on microphone to all of our panel and Mukund. And I'm going to, I think, might hand to Mukund to have a look at some of those questions with us. If you're able to join us there.
Thanks, Lotta. I'm actually really keen to hear from Shane and Will and Anna about, has there been one specific learning or one specific session that really had perhaps a transformational impact on you that you've carried with you to this day? And if so, what was it about that particular learning experience?
Great. I might jump in there. Well, I suppose the Canberra retreat was one of the most amazing experiences. And there's nothing like being in Canberra, mingling with people around you, people in the program that are of extremely high caliber and are leaders in their space, and talking at a level that you typically don't get the chance to, and cross fields and mingling with people outside. And it obviously makes it even more powerful when you're standing, in Canberra. It really brings things to light because you're connecting with the foreign minister, you're connecting with key people that are really influencing and driving the conversation. We happen to be in Canberra given this was 5 years ago, I still kind of quite remember this. This was a time where we got there and we had Julia Gillard lined up. Julie Bishop lined up at the time, and there was a leadership spill, and this was when Malcolm Turnbull on that day won that leadership spill against Abbott. And unfortunately, we didn't get to meet with Julie Bishop, but we did in subsequent subsequent kind of interactions. But that was at the heights of politics, and we got to be there, and we were discussing about the implications of that on our nations and our nation and our role in the region. So that was something I'll never forget, and I look forward to that, I suppose. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that, Will. We have 2 minutes left, and one question that's come up is, what is the reason for choosing this leadership program over another kind of leadership program? And of course, that's personal. I wonder if any one of you, Anna, Shane, or Will, would like to share your reason for choosing this over another type.
The bottom line is there is nothing else like this. I've been involved in a whole range of things in different countries for many years, and there is absolutely nothing like this. That's the reason. It's as good as anything you can get in Australia.
Thank you, Shane. Fantastic.
I agree here. Like everyone I talked to who participated in this Asialink program before I applied just couldn't talk high enough about every aspect that you guys have highlighted. It's like they truly live and experience and kind of say, go for it. This is the one chance that this is the best exposure you can get through these kind of programs. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I have a question, a last quick question from the audience. Thank you so much to Judy Gao about will this program welcome participants who are not currently working in the age-related sector but have strong interests? Absolutely. So I said very quickly when we're looking at the recruitment that we're looking for aspirations, and it comes from people who are extremely experienced to people who are just starting, and we value that equally. So absolutely, we are welcoming your applications based on your aspirations, and then the scholarships they're very specific to sector but not to your Asia experience. So warmly welcome whatever your level of current Asia experience is with your expressions of interest. Now we are at time, and we are so very happy to answer any other questions or engagement with us on the different platforms on which you can reach us, starting with our web page. But I would just like to say that we do have face-to-face information sessions as well. 2nd of December in Sydney, 10th of December in Brisbane. You'll find them on our website, and in the new year in Melbourne and in Perth as well. So we look forward to engaging with you in any mode that you'd like. We'd like to thank so much our panel who came on board. We really appreciate your experiences and insights. We'd like to thank all of you for joining, whether you're doing that in real time or a bit afterwards. Very much appreciate your interest, and we look forward to hearing from you. Welcome to engage with us further, and thanks so much for today. All the best to everyone.